Let us welcome Mr. Dr. Terry Paulson.
First of all, I want to thank Rotary for putting together this amazing event. When I think about this day, I realize it's too easy to make it a broad gesture, having all of America come together, but when you come to one city and you hear the names of so many young people at different times in their lives who lost their lives to give us freedom, it's nice to know that you can come together as a city and remember. It's been said that war is hell. Sadly, war is at times necessary. Men and women die in those wars. And as a result of that, we come together on days, every Memorial Day, to remember and to give thanks for all they gave. They gave up all their tomorrows so that we continue to have them. I never had the opportunity of serving in the military, but I was born during World War II. My dad was quartermaster at Tyndall Field in Panama City, Florida. I was an Army brat for approximately 3 months. At the end of the war, the only advantage I think my dad had is I got to see the bill when I was born. 6 days, total bill for 6 days was $47. The doctor got 50. My mother would say to me, "You weren't worth that." But they gave me a principled life and an appreciation for this country. My son and one of my grandsons have also served in the U.S. Army. None of them, thankfully, had to give up their life in service. I did have an uncle, Phil Venable, whom when we were back, I was probably no older than the kids that were standing by those flags. We would go back to my parents' home city in Kirkland, Illinois for July 4th. Population of 1,000 is now about 1,050. It's been a real boom. But they would have a 4th of July celebration that would match LA. And I remember celebrating, and on July 5th, my uncle, who was a test pilot as a Marine, crashed his plane, and it was the first funeral I ever went to. And I realized the power of losing someone and realizing that those who serve constantly must realize that at any given time it may mean their life. It's been said as citizens that maybe it ought to be our responsibility to consider every soldier as our children, so that when one passes away, we realize it's a deep loss that deserves our attention, that deserves our awareness, that war should not happen frequently, but when it does, we should remember all of those who paid the ultimate price. George S. Patton, who was known for his kind of outrageous comments, said it is foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God such men lived, and they rose to the challenge. I disagree with him. I think it's important to do both, to mourn them and thank them for standing in the gap for us. So many mothers and wives, husbands, fathers, extended family have people in their past who they have lost. Now, frequently there's a picture on a mantle or a memento, maybe an American flag in a box, to remind us of them and the life they never ever got to finish. So we treasure those memories and those individuals. And we must thank the families who paid the ultimate price of having to live with that loss. Years ago, I had the opportunity of presenting at the Naval Academy. It was an honor. I also had an opportunity to present to women whose husbands were in Afghanistan, some of which never came back. And I realized the amazing price that families pay. There's a hole in their family as they serve. So it is not just those individuals that has passed, it's all those who are deployed around this country, and some of you here are in service. Let's give a round of applause for those who serve. General Schwarzkopf once observed, "It doesn't take a hero to order men into battle. It takes a hero to be one of those men who goes into battle." I had the opportunity of also hearing the general talk at an event where I was also speaking. He said in his talk that in Kuwait, where we had gone at one point to take our soldiers and were preparing to take them away, one of the Kuwaiti officers asked the general to wait for a moment. And with tears in his eyes, he said to the general, "I thank God every day that America is one of the only superpowers that doesn't stay when they come. We rise to the challenge, but at the same time realize the heavy cost that any war takes. We're committed to peace and to freedom." There's no greater statement ever made at a celebration or a memory of remembrance than the words of Abraham Lincoln in his Gettysburg Address. He had 272 words. And in those 272 words, it has become known as one of the greatest speeches ever. It isn't the length of a speech that matters. It's the tribute and the honor it gives to the people who indeed made it possible. So that speech was given in November of 1863 on the grounds of Gettysburg, and I would like to read the final words from that address. "The world will little nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth." I don't care what party we're with, what office we're in, we can say amen to that message. There's a great song that Lee Greenwood wrote, and I echo the line from his patriotic song. "And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me." It's been said that our flag does not fly because of the wind blowing it, but by the final breath of every soldier that gives their life to allow us to continue to fly the flag of freedom that we salute today and that our kids so nobly brought before us. I pray that in the future, those children that were there won't have to go to war, that they will not be ones that we will need to celebrate in their loss, but that we will continue to remember. I want to thank you for inviting me here to make some comments on this field of valor. God bless our great nation. God bless and embrace those who gave their all and the families who paid the ultimate price of having to live with that sacrifice. And God bless you for coming here to take time to remember. Thank you.